Hey everyone, welcome to the first release of our Secret Stash coffees. This is a coffee that I am very happy to be featuring, and that is Flower Child's Erick Bravo. This is a washed Pink Bourbon coffee that predominantly has red fruit notes that are clean and incredibly structured. So whenever you sip this coffee, you're gonna get this really nice red fruit that stays in the cup. It is defined and overall has a very lovely jammy and round feel. Before I get into brewing and telling you guys about the recipe I made and all of that, I want to talk a bit about this coffee and Flower Child. So the reason why I have decided to pick this coffee as our first release is that we've done a lot of amazing coffee releases and limited edition stuff that you guys have all been enjoying, but we haven't really featured a beautiful, clean, washed coffee that has insanely structured acidity that permeates throughout the cup, and I just wanted to feature a clean, good, nice, high acidity coffee that you guys can enjoy. Flower Child Coffee out of Berkeley, run by Preston Yoder, single person business, and he likes to focus on sourcing clean, beautiful coffees and roasting them in a nice and clean way. So what you are tasting is very representative of the work a producer is putting into their coffee, and you'll be able to taste some just really interesting flavor notes. And in this case, I think this is a great example of how clean coffee can be. I have two options on recipes for you guys. The ones that this will come with is the recipe that I'm going to talk about today, but you can feel free to adjust it, and I'll talk about that after as we taste. And we are off. Smells nice and sweet. So what I've done is I'm actually opting for a slightly coarser grind, but what I'm trying to do is actually emphasize acidity. Push that acidity a little up front, so when you are tasting the coffee, when you're tasting the brew, you are going to get hit with that red fruit that's up front, and it's gonna kind of linger on your tongue. And as the lingering acidity is exiting, it's gonna kind of round out into this nice sweetness. Brew time is gonna be around that 3:30 to 4-minute mark, which has been really, really nice for this coffee. The longer contact time, the longer brew time, there's just more to extract out of this coffee. And I think that is what makes Flower Child coffee so interesting, is you can push them harder, and we'll talk about that as we taste as well. So this recipe is finishing up. I did a 1:16 ratio. I'm going to taste this, and then I'm going to tell you about some modifications you can do to the recipe to manipulate how it tastes. But it has wrapped up here. As I'm selling this coffee, I definitely get a lot of red fruits. I would say red fruit that then kind of goes into some nice florals. It is really sweet when it is warmer. When it does cool down, and I suggest you let it cool down, you will get a lot of that nice red fruit up front. But as it is pretty hot, I would say, you get predominantly nice sweetness. I would classify this as like a lychee sweetness. Now that the coffee has cooled down, let's give it a taste. Don't be afraid to slurp and make some noise. Get some of that air in there and help aerate. I get this nice red fruit acidity that is just up front. It is very, very structured, and it's still lingering on my tongue right now. And then it kind of goes into that nice sweetness, and I would again say that lychee sweetness is pretty predominant. I'm very happy with the recipe I came up with, but let me kind of give you guys some suggestions too. So if you don't want to experience so much acidity, or if, say you want to taste more of that lychee sweetness, drink it when it is a lot hotter. Predominantly sweet when it is hot, and when it begins cooling, that's when those red fruits are going to start to pop, and it's going to be that really nice structured acidity. So one, that's a suggestion, just when to taste. That will really manipulate your experience with the coffee. The second is just change the recipe. So the nice thing about coffees like this and the roasting style and sourcing that Flower Child has been doing is that you can push coffees really hard, and an easy way to manipulate this coffee it in a direction that will, I would say, lower the acidity but add complexities is increase extraction, increase the ratio. Change the recipe from 1 to 16 to 1 to 18 and add another pulse. I would recommend you keep it at the hottest temperature and then put it at 30 mils in a circular pour. So what that will do is that will tone down some of that upfront acidity and make things a little bit more harmonious. And the nice thing about this too is that you should be able to taste basically red fruits and really nice sweetness, but in a much more balanced way. So those are the things that I would recommend you experiment with, is change when you are actually sipping the coffee based on temperature. And then second is you can of course get in there and adjust the recipe. That is how I would adjust the recipe to really manipulate the flavor of the coffee, is just try to push the coffee a little bit harder and see what happens. That's all I wanted to talk about today. This is the first release of the Secret Stash. So thanks everyone for signing up and for also watching this video and picking up this coffee. I think this is a coffee that you will all be very happy with. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us and let us know. We have amazing coffees coming soon, and this is just the start. So thank you so much. I'll see you guys around.